We got London on the track. Nigga, hustle don't stop, they keep going. Yeah. You can lose your life, but it's gonna keep going. Why not risk life when it's gonna keep going? Yeah, when you got somebody else was born, but at least we got to say we run on the digit, we run on the money, we run on the digit, we run on that money, we run on the digit, we run on the money.
Yo, yo, yo.
We run on the digit, we run on the money, we run on the digit, we
What's up, Self-Frame Army? Cellmates? My beloved Self-Frame community. Hello, everyone. Welcome to everyone who's here live. It's about 11 p.m. out here in Akademgorodok in Siberia, the research center of Northern Eurasia, I would say. And it's been a long week. I'm here drinking some coffee, trying to stay awake, and my cat was just attempting to bury my coffee. He's a real good boy, and he doesn't want me to drink such harmful and foul-smelling things such as strong black coffee, but, you know, sometimes it's got to happen. I'm going to welcome everybody here to join in with me, shoot the shit, ask any questions. Meanwhile, no one's ready to jump in yet. We had a big AMA yesterday with Dmitry, the CEO, the head programmer of the Self-Frame project, CEO of Dem Labs. As usual, we had some updates on progress on the different apps that we're putting out. We've got the Self-Frame dashboard, where a new build was released. Self-Frame wallet is out. Download that. It's a great little app. Everything is looking beautiful and running well. As we said, Self-Frame wallet is basically a version of Self-Frame dashboard for mobile platforms, or that's the way it's designed. So we're going to be releasing that on mobile pretty soon. And then, of course, the big news about Self-Frame mainnet. We've got our beta testing group successfully operating. Shout out to all the cool and brave and very engaged people in that group. Special shout out again to our guy Mika out there in the woods of Finland. He's a great and long-standing member of our community, and he's kind of one of the leaders in the beta testing group. And we have at least 6 community nodes now running on the testnet using the release candidate, which is a rough draft of the Self-Frame mainnet final product, which will then, once the beta testing is complete, that'll be released onto the backbone network, which will be the main network for the mainnet. I gotta give a shout out again to all the people who come into our chats and are still saying, "Oh my gosh, these, will the mainnet ever come out?" Well, on one hand, I understand, there were some major delays, and I guess I understand, and I respect the people who are out there who have been with us for such a long time, and, keep asking it. We love it. One mainnet. Well, mainnet is happening, and you can see the process unfolding. You can see that the release candidate is out. You can see people working with it, and now, obviously, the big news is that the public beta is open. So we now invite all of you, anyone who has, you need at least 10,000 cell to be able to run a master node. But if you have that, then you just simply show that wallet to our team, go into the Self-Frame dev chat, send them that wallet information where you have your cell, or if you've already staked it, then you'll have M cell. You'll have 10 M cell. and you can go ahead and become a runner. You can go ahead and put up your master node and start being a beta tester for the release candidate, which is the rough draft of the main net. So obviously we don't have a set release date, but you can see the progress being made. And now with a much expanded group of, which we hope will soon be much expanded, group of beta testers, we're going to show that the decentralization process that's going on with Cellframe is beginning. It's really going to be an ultimately decentralized, fully decentralized platform. And one thing that's cool about Cellframe and the Cell token is that it's actually pretty much, I would say probably 90% at least of the Cell tokens out there are in the hands of just regular community members. Dimitri mentioned during the AMA last night that the team doesn't actually have huge Cell reserves right now for various reasons. The life of the company has been pretty long, and we've had our ups and downs. But the cool thing is that the Cell token itself is already decentralized, and that's ultimately what we want. We want as many people as possible to have that, that 10,000 Cell and run the master node. So that's what we're planning for, and we think that that's going to happen very smoothly. We should have a lot of potential node operators out there, and that's really the goal of the Cell token. One thing that is also cool about Cell and working at Cell, I don't have to. I worked for a couple other crypto startups before this, and the one I worked at previously was basically like a tool for traders. It would aggregate liquidity from different centralized exchanges and offer traders a set of tools or whatever. And we and we would always have to kind of be like convincing people that we have a use case. Obviously, with Cell, that's not the case. It's built into the system where it's a layer 0, layer 1, third generation blockchain, and the Cell token itself has utility within that system. And that's also true for Kel VPN. Shout out Kel VPN. My voice, once again, is coming to you via Kel VPN. And the Kel VPN token has that use case that, is built into the service-oriented nature of the Cellframe platform, where you will actually be able to pay for and provide services and be paid for them using the Kel token, right? So this is the so-called no CBD mode that's now being built and will be released within the Kel VPN app, where it'll be a truly decentralized peer-to-peer VPN providing and using tool. So holders of the Kel token can set up masternode and become a validator in the Kel network, but you'll also be able to pay for and earn money as a service provider. So there's definitely a hardcore use case. Even now, you can use the Kel VPN token to pay for the VPN service. Right now it's just a kind of a subscription-based model, but we're heading towards mainnet release, which will also coincide with the release of the Kel VPN mainnet, and then that no CBD mode will be available, and folks will be able to either earn by providing or pay for bandwidth using the Kel token. So yeah, another news from this, just recapping a little bit of the AMA from last night. New updates to the Kel VPN app. Redesigning the interface. We got new light and dark modes coming out, and we've got also some news from the interesting stuff in the AMA about how our DApp SDK is being used actually outside of the blockchain projects, actually in highly advanced experimental basically, it's hopefully will be used in one of the leading fusion research projects in the world, the ITER reactor. So right now it's being used in several experimental installations here in Akadem Garadok. These are folks working with different types of sensors involved in high amounts of that produce like high amounts of X-ray radiation, you know, and these sensors are the DAP SDK is involved in running these sensors for research installations involving nuclear fusion and other sort of particle science experiments. And the DAP SDK is the core of kind of CellFrame. As I mentioned before, you know, the cell token is not being held in large amounts by the team. What we're funding actually CellFrame development with is other projects that the company Dem Labs is involved in. Now, the science aspect of it, that's more of like an open source thing. You know, that's more just the team giving their contribution to science. But we also have contracts with different companies that use our DAP SDK to develop other stuff. So that's a kind of like a white label system. And that's kind of part of where the income is coming from. And this is awesome. I mean, I think one thing that I love about getting onto the CellFrame team is it's a real kind of family vibe. People are super dedicated to the project. The company's been around for a long time. There's I think Dmitry said there's about 25 full-time engineers on the project right now. Then if you include other staff like the QA team, you know, get up into the 30s. You know, people are just super devoted to the project, to each other, and they've been around for a long time, and they're not going anywhere. You know, so just back to the sort of panic, the sort of mainnet panic people out there. Yeah, I mean, if you're not able to kind of keep track of the GitLab commits and everything, well, maybe you can just take my word for it. I've seen the way that this team works. I've seen the way that they've come together to overcome obstacles, and there's no doubt in my mind that this will be seen through to the end and to big things. One thing that I've been noticing, like, we've had a couple of people who have contacted me. You know, one of them said, you know, what do you think, like, you guys think that you can compete with these huge blockchains that already exist? And our answer is and has always been yes. You know, I think it would be interesting to know if anyone asked the developers of Google search engine back when they were starting out, hey, do you guys really think that you can compete with Lycos and Alta Vista and MSN? And they're like, yeah, we're building a better search engine. We have the algorithms. And that's also what's going on with CellFrame. You know, we know that we have a good code base, and we know that ultimately there's a good chance that that will win and come to be the standard in the crypto industry. Of course, you know, we support everyone in the ecosystem, and we don't think that Bitcoin should necessarily die if the quantum apocalypse happens, but, you know, don't say we didn't warn you. You know, I think, you know, when, like I said before, when the team originally started going around pitching this quantum proof high-speed blockchain to investors, people were not really believing the quantum hype. But now, obviously, the quantum hype has gone fully mainstream. As I tweeted from the CellFrame social account this week, the new James Bond movie has a quantum computer in it. So once once there's a Hollywood movie out about this stuff, it's real. And I also listened to an interesting podcast series from the Financial Times this week that looked into quantum computing, and I think I'll maybe get a little into that, get a little deeper into the quantum sphere here if I have time. Like I said about kind of my own experience moving to Cellframe from a different company, it's really exciting to be part of a company that's really doing fundamental deep work in the blockchain space. The blockchain ecosystem is great. Crypto, Web3, whatever you want to call it. There's tons of projects. But, when you're working with a company like Cellframe, you can really find out about what the true promise of blockchain crypto is and the kind of work that it takes to get that done. Besides the whole quantum computing, quantum proof thing, it's all about the services here with Cellframe. We already have VPN. We've already announced a video conferencing service, peer-to-peer, providing data to everyone. Having data providers in a local distributed network, which has potential to be extremely powerful, extremely fast. Peer-to-peer, people taking advantage of their machines, people getting paid for providing services. So we've got that video conferencing thing on the docket. We've got an AI system that's also on the docket, which there's sort of three elements to that. It will allow this kind of pool of distributed fog computing to be used for training AI algorithms. Right now, obviously, only big corporations really have access to the kind of computing power that's necessary to train an AI algorithm. And having a distributed peer-to-peer network of machines that can provide processing power, that will allow smaller startups to actually access that kind of system. Right now there's a big barrier to entry within the AI space. So that's one aspect that will help lower that barrier. Besides training the algorithms, we need to have tons of computing power to actually run the algorithms. And so that's another level that projects can get in on our AI platform. They can, say maybe you're already trained an algorithm of some kind. You can use Cellframe to run it in a distributed fog computing fashion. And then finally, possibly the most interesting aspect of that is the idea of joint ownership over AI systems, right? So if a project launches on Cellframe's AI platform, people can, the people that have contributed their computing power to it will be able to actually be kind of co-owners of the algorithm itself, and when it's launched and possibly monetized, they can get a share of that. All right, anyone want to jump in here? We got a few people in. What's up? It's been an interesting week out here on Twitter, out in the world. I think kind of the whole Bitcoiner hype about the the banking crisis and the death of the U.S. dollar has died away a little bit. The Elon Musk drama is ongoing. I got to say, I think Elon's like totally genius in the fact that he's now always in the news. When you're a small startup like us, I don't think it's true that all publicity is good publicity. But when you're the CEO of a major car company like Tesla, who doesn't spend any money on advertising pretty much, but then instead of advertising, the CEO just buys Twitter and is now like all over the news everywhere. He was out there arguing with BBC and everything like that. So yeah, I don't know what's new on Twitter, guys. Altcoin season is coming out. Someone was saying today, who smells altcoin season? I think Bitcoin is doing well. A lot of tokens out there are doing well, and Cellframe is we got a little mainnet coming up. We think so. Things are going all right. All right, so I got a couple of topics that I can get into today, whether it's quantum or coding in C language. We got a little surprise for you guys, maybe at the end. Got a little song. But yeah, I just so I right now I maybe want to get a little more into what is the Cellframe ecosystem as it stands right now. Obviously, after mainnet, will be a bit more attractive to programming teams and third-party teams that would like to join and start programming. DApp SDK is available for anyone out there who's trying to get in on developing on Cellframe. Right now, we have the KelVPN token, obviously, already in play, and we have one more project that I can't really quite announce yet. I mentioned before that hardware might be involved in that, but yeah, we've got big partnerships coming up, and spread the word. Shout out to Mika out there. He's developing some. He's also got his own development Python tools that he's developing and trying to bring people on board. What's up? What's up? Who's out there? Oh, Jamil. Adding you. Hello, Jamil. What's up, buddy?
Well, hope you're doing good.
Yeah, doing great.
Great, fantastic. Well, I have a couple questions. Well, you beat me to the first question, which was about the few couple of AMAs back. Dimitri talked about a project that is working on the Cellframe ecosystem, which I guess he said it was an incubator, something like that, or launchpad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that Launchpad project is in the works, but it's kind of got pushed down a little bit down the pipeline. So yeah, the project that I mentioned now that's coming up later, I think it'll also be involved in supporting the growing ecosystem. So I think part of it's going to be hardware. Like I said, I can't really announce it right now. But yeah, so there's a team that's we've been working real closely with for the past couple of months, and once we have, they're still kind of putting the finishing touches on building up the team itself and kind of the core documents to present that project to the world. But yeah, I think that we definitely are going to have a big announcement about a partnership coming up, and this is a team that's already kind of been integrating into with us, working with our engineers, working with our PR team to prepare for a launch. So yeah, I mean, incubator is definitely going to be coming down the pipeline. That's not going to be next in the pipeline. But that is going to be definitely an important part of our structure. What is the
Fantastic.
yeah, like it kind of the same model as with consensus and Ethereum. Yeah, so definitely kind of the accelerator. We want to do everything we can to support the ecosystem.
That's definitely interesting. But I know you can't really, let's say, talk about deadlines, but a rough estimate, like, can we expect it soon, or it's gonna take a while?
I would just say I would encourage you to go ahead. If you're real interested in keeping a close eye on the process of beta testing. So we're in the third phase of testing the release candidate. We had the internal alpha testing, and we had the closed beta, and now we've announced the opening of open beta. And so that's going to involve scaling the network. It's going to involve bringing a lot more master nodes from the community in, and it's about. It depends on what kind of issues we run into. I think people are real optimistic. We've had good results from the closed beta, from with the limited amount of users. But yeah, I mean, I think check out the timeline, the new timeline. We're gonna publish that article. We always publish a transcript of the AMA, so that'll come out on Monday, and that'll have the latest updated timeline. And there's an estimate in there, but it's really all about bugs. That's one of the things about like doing like a code from scratch and see.
A development based paste.
Yeah.
But the timeline that I kind of asked about was like more about the new project and partnerships. Can we expect them, let's say, this month, soon, or it's gonna take a while till you announce it?
Let's see, this month. Yeah, I would say it's probably gonna be real soon in terms of our announcing. We've already been ramping up to it. We're just putting some finishing touches on that. Yeah.
Okay, fine. And that's also about. Thank you for bringing up the development process about the mainnet. See, normally, as you have also previously mentioned, that Cellframe has this approach of, say, it's like ready when it's ready, or it's a development based. So we don't know, we don't have a hard date. But on the AMA with the mainnet roadmap, what caught my eyes is that the Cellframe launch of the mainnet, it's going to be like in the third week of May. Is that some sort of a hot date, or still based on development? Because yeah, it's kind of surprising, because it kind of goes against the approach of Cellframe to not give hard dates.
Yeah, I mean, we always say like we had to learn the hard way that hard dates don't always work, and the roadmap is the plan. Who said there's a famous quote about that? You have a plan until you get hit in the mouth and or whatever, and then it all goes out the window. But yeah, so yeah, we don't have a hard date, but we do our very best to give a good estimate. So yeah, that roadmap is our best estimate at this point. Yeah, like Dimitri has said before, it's with this kind of programming, you can get information from the teams. He's really involved in all the teams, and he's ultimately the one who puts together that roadmap based on reports from the different teams. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. So it's basically our best estimate. With this kind of stuff, it can take much longer than what you expect at any given moment. But I think so far so good. So that's just our estimate, and we're going to keep updating that as best we can. So, but I think if you look at our community, things are looking pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in the community. I'm quite active in it, which is yeah. You see the well, I wasn't part of the beta testing, the close one. So that's also kind of a point that I want to bring up. If you guys can, let's say, bring some sort of an official announcement of the results of the beta testing, that would be, because we just want to know the results of it, if that's all right by you. And also have another request. This is kind of I guess, a hot topic that probably you wouldn't want touch with a 6-inch bar. But anyways, it's the marketing wallet. A really interesting thing is that happened. 2,640 BNB coins were transferred to Binance. Now, I guess you can't exactly tell us about it. I don't know, that's my guess. But if you can't actually tell us anything about it, that would be interesting because I guess if I remember correctly, that's the marketing wallets.
Hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't think I really have clearance to tell that story right now. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, there's a story there, and yeah, I can't I can't really get into it right now. I'll see what. I'm thankful for everyone who's keeping tabs on all the things happening on the network. But there's let me just say there's a good and a bad side to what happened with that wallet. So yeah.
No, no problem. I know that. I figured out that you probably couldn't say anything about it because I don't.
Hmm.
Most likely wouldn't be able to. So, but the good and bad things about it. Can we expect something out of it or because of it this month or soon or near? Or I guess that's also kind of information that you can't share at all.
In terms of like marketing efforts, I mean, yeah, we've basically held back on some of the marketing stuff, uh, leading up, until the mainnet is out. So the marketing efforts are underway. One thing I actually can announce, we're going to announce a new ambassadors program. We're trying to recruit a few people to lead groups in different languages, so that's on the docket. Um, but yeah, let me get back to you on that. uh, let me ask, as far as results of the beta testing. Well, we do have 6 operational nodes out of that group of about 10 beta testers. So I would say that's successful. So the network is running, the Raiden network is running on community nodes right now. So I would say that the closed beta is successful, and the fact that we are now opening it to other users also reflects the fact that that was a successful phase of testing. Um, yeah, and I would encourage you to join. You know, I want to start joining it myself. Actually, I've never learned Linux, but I think that, in fact, I know that the group, uh, the community, and the team working on in the beta will help you learn. Find out how all that works on Linux. So
Yeah, I
uh,
also don't know much about Linux, but
yeah.
I'm waiting for the Windows one since yeah, the support guys, especially Andre, replied to someone who actually asked this question, saying that Windows is going to come nearly, which I I wouldn't want to see a node without being only ran on Linux and not Windows because I just really like Windows for simplicity. Linux is not exactly my, which I
I
guess
feel
it
you.
is. Yeah, not much
Yeah,
of
I
a
feel, man.
Linux guy.
Well,
Also, like if you can check with the team and all that, knowing about uh, bugs and all that. Yeah, well, that's also kind of details that we'd be interested in. But also, I don't understand that TPS will be measured after mainnet. But did you guys actually implement sharding in the release candidate? Because if I remember correctly, you still haven't. In the last AMA, Dimitri said they still have to implement sharding. Is it going to be implemented before mainnet, or maybe an update shortly after
mhm.
mainnet?
Yeah, I think. Well, as far as whether it was before or after, I actually don't know. But yeah, from what I understand, it hasn't been implemented yet. So yeah, the TPS is it's a little bit of a complicated issue with TPS, where we have to test it after sharding, and then also with different signature types. So yeah, as far as TPS testing, we've created the system for the actual tests, and we started running some tests. But uh, as far as like getting real TPS numbers, I think that's going to be after the sharding is implemented. That's right. Yeah,
which is going
I'll.
to
Mhm.
the sharding, which is
Yeah.
going to be with mainnet, because like we will have sharding with mainnet or after it, or you don't know about this, you have to check.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to check on that. Yeah, thanks for your question. Yeah, I think I'm not sure what the timeline is on the sharding right now, but
That would be
it's in the works.
information that we would love to know. But yeah, final
Hmm.
question about the ambassador program. Are there like
Hmm.
any preferred regions, or it's basically open to everybody?
Well, yeah, but I've been talking to the team about what regions we should target. Uh, we looked at like where our biggest traffic is coming from on the website. And it's kind of like a weird mix. For some reason, the country of Andorra was one of the top lists, and they're a Catalan-speaking country. So, but yeah, I don't know. What would you say we should target? I mean, Turkey is a big country. We already have a couple. We already have an active kind of ambassador in Spanish and Italian. Those are two countries that we've already got kind of pretty active in terms of language groups.
The
I don't
thing
know.
is
What do you
that,
recommend?
well, sorry for the interruption, but to answer your question, the thing is that since this whole crypto space, crypto thing is getting more adoption every year, so it makes sense to have ambassadors from specific targeted communities, like you've said, Andorra and Italy, Turkey. But I guess if there are certain communities that you can, let's say, there's certain communities that are growing, for example, like the Arabic community, maybe have some focus on them. And I guess you can focus a lot on the communities that already have like a big base of crypto users, for example, like the United States. I don't know if you actually have a big community in Russia. Not in, you are the one you are the PR guy, not me. But yeah, I guess the communities that already have a big user base, those are, let's
Hmm.
say, are important ones. And also, let's not forget about the communities that are growing. For example, as far as I know, in Iraq there was like, I come from Iraq,
Mm,
there were like
cool.
very few, very couple thousands of crypto users. After like well, that's when I first got in. But after a while, I was surprised to find out there's like more than 300,000 crypto users, which was actually amazing because you can buy crypto peer to peer a lot easier. Because before that, it was kind of like a painful to find someone
Mm,
who can you can buy with, and especially considering that you see most. The Iraqi government out here is not pro crypto at all. Matter of fact,
mm,
it still didn't have a clear, didn't criminalize it, but it's almost there. So that's why peer-to-peer I think is so important, because you can't, let's say, buy crypto with a bank account. It's not allowed at all. But peer-to-peer, yeah, that's allowed.
interesting. Yeah, cool. Glad to speak from a person with a person from Iraq. That's amazing. Amazing
Thank you.
culture. And yeah. Hey, well, yeah. Arabic is a big. Obviously, that was kind of going to be the next word out of my mouth. Was going to be Arabic. I actually have a question for you. Like, so Iraqi Arabic versus say Egyptian or like Emirates. If you had a Telegram group that's just Arabic, would that work? Like, do people understand
Yes.
each other?
You see,
Hmm.
you see, there are a lot of accents, but at the end of the day, we're all able to understand each other with
Hmm.
accent. If we can't, we have the standard Arabic, which is it's not an accent. It's like standard Arabic is something considered an accent or a dialect, but it's something that we all speak. We are all capable of understanding fully. So if you have just one, surely you can put 10 people, 10 Arabs from different countries, and they will understand each other just fine. I'm also in a some cultural exchange programs. Most of them are like funded and founded by the United States and also other organizations, and also have other visit to the United States hopefully next year. So I might visit some places that you have visited in New York. By the way, I like these videos from New York and San Francisco.
Cool, thanks.
So yeah, so we actually have like Arabs and Americans. So we have like more than one Arabic person from different places, and we can understand each other speaking Arabic with our dialects. Sometimes
Mm,
certain words that we wouldn't understand, we can just say them and send it in Arabic. So to answer your question, yes, it will work. Definitely, you can just have one Arabic channel with people from different Arabic nations.
very cool, very cool. Hey, yeah, make sure you hit me up when you're in the States. You know, maybe we can meet up. I'll be back in the States probably in a couple weeks, actually. So I'll be
My
back for
visit's
some.
going to be, as I said, sort of an interruption, but my visit will be actually next year,
Yeah,
and I will be like I have to stick with the fellowship that I am in, so I have to go to specific places. So I'm gonna be like New Mexico and in Washington D.C. But
okay.
I'm actually maybe after I finish the fellowship, I will have actually a few days that I can spend in the U.S. The thing is that with the U.S. is the visa process is so annoying. And the good thing is that I can stay there after my fellowship and after my visa expires for like 30 days. So I'll definitely be able to hit you up. I'll make sure to do that. Maybe we can go out for a coffee and speak about crypto Web3.
Hell yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I'll probably, I'll be based on the East Coast, so it's all pretty close over there. Can even take trains. Yep.
That's going to be great. Great.
Yeah,
Make sure to do that.
I think Arabic is definitely going to be, on that list of languages that we're targeting. So yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be, let's say, not exactly the biggest community, but it's a growing community, I would say. Maybe, especially considering that Shellframe has like lots of utility, as you have mentioned. Like your problem is not finding utility with Shellframe. With Shellframe, you're just finding it. You have different and various utilities, which is, I guess, kind of a good problem to have. You have a lot of utilities here and left and right, which is amazing. I guess a lot of people from the Middle East would be interested in using it. Even probably running
Yeah,
nodes out there.
yeah. I mean, Arabic has such a broad reach across many different nations. I mean, I was in Egypt last year. Amazing experience, amazing people, huge population. I think has over 100 million people. Iraq, all the Emirates. So
Egypt has
yeah.
more than 100 million. It was
Mhm.
100, but it actually grew even more. 105, I guess now it's over 108 million. So, as you have said, lots of people.
Yeah, and people who are a lot of yeah, and politics change and kind of uh, people's relationship to Web3 changes, but I think there's definitely a lot of potential there as it grows. Actually, and Latin America as well. We already have, like I said, a Spanish group, but Spanish obviously has a huge reach across a vast number of countries where there's going to be big demand for Web3. I think so. Yeah.
I believe actually the Middle East is in a similar place since you
Mm-hmm.
see, you know how the United States is going through this inflation problem because of printing money and all that. Some countries, for example, like Iraq, same thing. Like last month, we just printed 5 trillion Iraqi dinars. Like five
Oh my
trillion,
gosh.
just yeah. And you know what? Our currency is actually last year started falling against the US dollar, and we basically depend on oil for some reason. Like we can do other
Hmm.
things, but for some reason, yeah, corruption and all that. I'm not gonna get into that. But Web3 is
Yeah.
going to have a lot of use cases. That's also why I would say it's a growing community because you see, the situation is getting way way worse because of centralized institutions. That also include governmental institutions. I'm not saying I want to go against the government, but what I'm saying is I'm not going to put my money and any services I'm going to use into something that is falling, which is really problematic. You don't want to see like you can wake up. People literally woke up seeing that the Iraqi dinars lost a lot of its value and everything went up, not just 2 times or 3 times more. In some places, it's just 2 times or 3 times. Depends really on where you are. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely we have the same issue. And also, a good thing is that in some countries, like I guess you can focus on specific Arabic countries like the UAE, maybe Egypt and Saudi Arabia or Bahrain, because they have actually have some rules when it comes to crypto. So out there, you can you can use these things without being put under any kind of prosecution. Yeah, unlike here, for example, in Iraq, you will be put under prosecution, and I don't know, they're not. It's not going to end up really well for you. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I'll make sure to apply to the ambassador program because I missed it last time you actually guys opened it up, but this time I won't.
Yeah, welcome. That would be great. Yeah,
Yeah, it would be really
yeah,
interesting to working with you guys.
yeah. It's interesting what you say about inflation and everything. I mean, obviously, it's crypto adoption kind of follows when central banks kind of fuck up, and places in South America that have experienced it have rapid crypto adoption. And as a Russian, we remember the '90s. There was hyperinflation in Russia. People were just printing banknotes with huge amounts of zeros. So yeah, I mean, and yeah, obviously, in comparison, what America is kind of experiencing in terms of inflation is kind of pales in comparison to what some other countries experience. Yeah, and so cool. Let's talk about the ambassador thing. We'll put out an announcement for that shortly, and work together, hopefully.
Amazing. I will be looking forward to it. But as you have said, I want to actually follow up with the banks they talked about. Surprisingly, the United States banks. I don't know if you guys actually saw the today's reports. Big banks like J.P. Morgan or Chase. Surprisingly, they're on profits, better than expected. Yet, five
I'm not
hundred and
somehow I'm not
twelve.
surprised.
I don't understand. Yet five almost like just in the United States alone, like 600 or $512 billion of deposits were taken out. How's that? How that happened?
Well, part of what's going on in America is consolidation. You've got the regional smaller banks are kind of falling under suspicion. People are just moving deposits to places like Chase, right? So J.P. Morgan Chase has their kind of extremely powerful investment bank branch, and then they also have their huge deposit retail branch, which is all over the country. There's Chase. If you walk around Manhattan, you can't throw a rock without hitting a Chase ATM. So yeah, those big banks are going to be doing great in this situation, and they also have that huge investment arm that can do crazy stuff as traders. Market manipulation and everything. People kind of know about that in crypto. Sometimes manipulations happen, and whales or people will try to pump and dump or do any kinds of stuff. But the big investment banks kind of, they're able to hedge and to get ahead of a lot of stuff. So not surprised that their profits are doing quite well.
Damn. So in other words, it's the small man who's in trouble, not the big man.
Yeah, yeah. That all started in 2008. This concept of too big to fail, right? The banks, the banks that know the people know that they have the government's backing in any crisis. Those are the ones that people are moving to right now with like the collapse of SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. That was a kind of a regional mid-sized bank. You've also got another issue where the mid-sized banks are the ones that do a lot of lending for commercial real estate. So after COVID, with a lot of kind of office spaces being emptying out and people moving to more remote work, a lot of the small, mid-sized regional banks are going to be on the hook for those bad real estate loans. So, yeah, you just see more and more centralization in that banking system.
Yeah, but the thing is that the centralization is getting, like, say, much more towards the big man. It's not like the small man is getting some centralization, just going to the big man. Yeah, which is quite interesting. But anyways, it was really lovely talking to you. I gotta go right now, but I'll make sure to call this Twitter space so we can listen to it later.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming
hopefully
on.
Twitter won't solve interruption. And hopefully Twitter won't ruin this recording this time.
Yeah, I think I got it. I got it this time. All right.
Amazing. See you later.
All right. See you. All right, folks. Well, it's midnight. I got a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Been trying to delve deeper into the world of quantum computing this past week. It's way more crazy than I ever actually thought it was. I mean, I heard this podcast with from the FT, and they were interviewing all kinds of people who were on the forefront of theoretical research into quantum mechanics and quantum computing. They gave a couple of examples where quantum computers are already being used. So there's one quantum computer that's kind of a different model than the ones being built by IBM and stuff. So those ones are like a gate-based quantum computer. But this other system is kind of not as powerful, but it's actually already implemented. So the Port of Los Angeles has a company that's doing optimization of logistics using a quantum computer. And so that's apparently one of the kind of problems that quantum computers are really good at solving, is optimization of logistics. So this is the so-called traveling salesman problem. So this is basically like how to optimize your route, right? Basically, if you're a traveling salesman, you want to hit as many houses on your list as possible. If you want to know about a salesman, you should watch the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. It's an amazing work of cinema. But yeah, so quantum computers are already in play. There's also such a thing as quantum sensors, which are also already being used in medicine for brain scans, and they're being used also in geology for sensing things deep underground. But the wildest thing about what I learned about quantum computers is, like, nobody really knows how they work. There's not a single physicist out there who can tell you how exactly quantum physics work or how to understand reality based on quantum physics. So there's this incredible phenomenon where basically you can teleport a particle across long distances, right? So you have one particle that's enmeshed, so this whole idea of quantum and enmeshing, and we're able to teleport a particle across a river, and like some Chinese folks teleported a particle from space down to Earth. And the kind of final thought about this was that so basically a quantum computer can solve problems that it would take a computer the size of the entire universe. So if you took all the atoms in the universe and built one giant traditional computer with it, you wouldn't be able to solve this problem in a billion years. But a quantum computer can somehow do this in a few minutes. And part of that has to do with the way the qubits stack on top of each other. So the fact that they're entangled quantum entanglement. Kind of each qubit you add kind of exponentially grows the power of that computer. So that's on the practical side, but on the theoretical side, the fact that quantum computers exist is like a huge mystery, right? It kind of makes us question reality itself. So there's like multiverse theory some people use to explain how quantum computing works. I'll get into that maybe more next time, and if you guys want, we can kind of dive deeper into that. But basically, yeah, and nobody really knows whether it's such a huge engineering task to actually create a quantum computer. It has to be in way sub-zero temperatures, because any particle or object that's not super cold emits heat radiation, and any particle that touches a qubit kind of destroys the quantum state that it's in. So they do them in these super cool chambers. And some people say that it's just around the corner. The next 10 years we'll have a functioning quantum computer that can destroy or can crack traditional encryption. The whole process of designing post-quantum encryption, isn't really proven yet. But of course, Cellframe is adaptable, that we can implement whatever new post-quantum encryption come up. So we've already implemented post-quantum encryption methods that have been approved by the main kind of bodies that have been doing competitions for post-quantum encryption. But yeah, hey, we're living in a brave new world, and ultimately the capacity for Cellframe to be post-quantum is tied back to the fact of the way that the code is so efficient, right? So post-quantum encryption, post-quantum signatures are extremely long. They're just orders of magnitude bigger than traditional signatures. So that's really the power of Cellframe. The post-quantum thing is important, and obviously it's a big point for us. But really, what it gets back down to is the fact of our code and the way it's written in C, which is a language that's close to the machine. It's not abstracted or object-oriented. So this kind of nice little segue into my performance for today. If you want to learn more about the C code, there's a great article on our Medium that was written by Dmitry and translated by me. It's called "Why is the C Language Called Dead?" I think that's the first name. Why is one of the most popular programming languages called dead, and who needs it? And in this article, Dmitry goes into the kind of the history of C, that when Java came out around 2000, these kind of close to the machine codes like C started to lose their relevance. And then he talks about how in the Russian kind of school of programming, C remained real strong. And then he goes into talk about how C is actually still extremely relevant, right? And obviously we're proving that with the fact that we're designing a blockchain in it, and sort of very high performance, high speed, high volume networks, like a service oriented blockchain like Cellframe. That's important for us, the fact that we're writing it in C. All right, so going back into this Russian tradition of writing in C, there's a fairly famous song, a rap that was written a few years ago about writing in C, and it's called. I've tried to make a translation of it. It's called Poppa Codes in C. So it's spoken from the kind of point of view of a young programmer who respects C, and because his dad, who's been a programmer forever, he knows C, and he's a badass. So to close today,
Powering on.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Paired.
try to perform this song for you guys. All right, shout out Self-Ran community. Poppa codes in C, Poppa codes in C. As long as he's around, that's the way it be. Poppa codes in C, Poppa codes in C. .NET or Java, homie, no word C. Poppa codes in C, Poppa codes in C. Python or Ruby, you ain't a real G. Poppa codes in C, Poppa codes in C. As long as he's around, that's the way it be. Young fools, object-oriented, talk about classes. Poppa's pure hardcore, he'll kick young devs' asses. Going hard and writing C code, he never stutters. Poppa knows his ways around a good set of buffers. 2 to the 16th ways to lose your extremities. Debugging C is like a glimpse of infinity. If you survive this long, then you can't be killed. Poppa's a Jedi master with 20 years in the field. Poppa goes in C, Poppa goes in C. As long as he's around, that's the way it be. Poppa goes in C, Poppa goes in C. .NET or Java, homie, no more C. Poppa goes in C, Poppa goes in C. Python or Ruby, you ain't a real G. Poppa goes in C, Poppa goes in C. As long as he's around, that's the way it be. Let me speak from my heart, C will never die. Flashing and reflashing, flashing all the time. C's a dead language, you know that's a lie. Flashing and reflashing, flashing all the time. C will live forever, C will never die. That's it, folks. Self-Frame After Dark. Shout out to Jamil, everyone who's listening to me and recording. Come join our ambassadors program. Come join the open beta testing program. If you don't know, Linux will teach you. If you don't know, now you know.